All right, now talk about the phone call that we all dream of getting, and you got to experience that where you're drafted, right? I don't care where you get drafted. Just to get drafted is a huge accomplishment, right? So don't focus on that. What was that moment like? Did you know it was coming? Like, what was that process like? Kind of talk about that.
Yeah, I thought it was maybe going to come the year before.
New year, you mean?
My junior year. And, I mean, I thought I was ready. I'm not bitter about it. I was maybe a little bit, but now
you probably were
it
ready,
all worked
right?
out.
We talked about that. A lot of times minor league ball, we can get in this later, but it's a lot of politics involved.
Sure. But, no, it's, and I'm going to be honest, I should have been the first overall pick. But
Do you remember who went number 1 that year? I'd have to look it up.
I don't.
Probably some bozo.
Yeah.
No, it's probably. Anyways, keep going.
I'm pretty sure I hit a bomb off of him. I was, as the day was going on, I wasn't getting picked. You know, the draft always, you're told you're projected to go in such and such. You know, it's all whatever. But when it actually happens, none of that mattered.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I saw my name come up on the board.
Yeah.
Before I got picked, Northwest area scout for the Tigers called me and said, "You still want to go?" I'm like, "Are you crazy?" Yeah. Like, this is all I've
Who
ever
would say
dreamed
no?
of.
Yeah.
And he's like, "You're our next pick."
That's awesome.
And so, like, that was, but there was a little break in between. That's right in that moment, took a break, the draft, right? And that was back before everything streamed and all this. It was 2008. Totally. So I didn't know exactly when they were coming back. And I actually got a text message from Steve Marquardt.
Shout out to Steve.
Local guy.
Yeah, just saw him recently, actually. Our girls played against each other in softball.
But yeah, he was already playing pro ball, and he sent me a text, congratulations. And then I had to freaking run to the computer and check, and I saw my name.
Dial up internet.
And so then it was just phone call after phone call, like just incredible day experience, something I will never forget.
Were you at home? I can't remember. Were you with family? Like, what?
I was at home with my parents, my family.
Yeah.
Michaela, something I worked for my whole life.
Totally, man.
And I was ready to get to work.
So how fast does that process go? You get the phone call, obviously a lot of logistics, then what?
So then I'm on the phone with my scout and stuff again. He's, you know, back and forth.
So there's like a point person. Northwest.
Yeah, for me there was. And this was his first year as the area scout for the Tigers. So I was drafted as a shortstop. He had never seen me play in the outfield.
Oh, no way.
Right, so I was drafted, that's all he knew. Other teams, when I was talking to them, they asked if I wanted to be drafted as an outfielder or as an infielder, and it didn't matter, man. I just wanted to get up there and play. And so, you know, I'm on the phone back and forth, and he's kind of telling me, I was like, man, let's go. I'll fly me out tomorrow.
Yeah.
You know,
get to work.
It didn't happen like that. It was like 3 or 4 days later. I fly down to Florida. That's where our spring training headquarters and stuff is. And so I get down there. So it was short season, right? The draft was in June.
Yep.
Minor league season has already been going on.
Yeah.
So there's a couple different teams that I could have been put on. And he didn't know for sure, but we went down, had a little mini camp in Florida for a few days where we're all playing and stuff. And my first experience in Florida, that was the first time I ever experienced any humidity or anything. And it was
different.
Dude, I thought I was going to die.
Yeah.
Like I couldn't.
It's like this,
breathe.
right? But with humidity. It's a whole different ball game.
Completely different. We ran a couple half poles.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there sucking wind. Like, what is going on?
Yeah.
And then you kind of get used to it. And by the second and third day, it was almost normal. That was intense.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we're down there. It's kind of the same thing, except a little more cutthroat at this time. Guys are trying to make a team. It's not so much about the team.
Where was your mindset at? When you stepped on that field, were you still, like, you talked about how confident you were, right? I got a feel for that, but that was back playing with guys like me. Well, now you're stepping on the diamond with pros.
At the amateur level, every time you're looking around and in summer ball and stuff, you're playing against guys that got drafted, right?
Yeah.
This guy got drafted last year. He didn't sign. And so that's the talk of everything.
Got it.
There's 1 or 2 players out there that have been drafted, right? When you get to that point after the draft, you look around, everybody's been drafted. And so that's a little bit of a kind of a culture shock, a little bit. And for me, I mean, I had moments of thought of like, do I belong here? And we all have those self-doubts.
Totally.
Right? In every walk of life. And I think that's a good thing. It's you know, a little bit of humility. I said I was really confident and stuff, and I was, but still I had those moments of, can I do this? Or even there's times throughout the season where you're struggling a little bit and you're in a slump. And I mean, guys in the high school level have the same thoughts and feelings of, what am I doing here? Am I good enough? But at that point, it's my job, right? I'm getting paid.
That's a good point.
So I have that pressure.
That's crazy.
I can get fired if I don't perform. And the more you let those thoughts creep in, the worse you play.
100%.
And it's the same at any level.
The game's too slow, right?
And so, yeah, that you really have to figure out the mental part of the game, really know who you are as an individual and the amount of work that you put in, and to know that you belong and to know that I belonged. And yeah, I mean, I didn't make it to the big leagues. I feel like I could have and could have competed in the big leagues, but it wasn't in the cards for me. Yeah. And that's fine. I love where I'm at in life, and I'm where God needs me to be. So.
Totally. We'll talk about that moment. I know it's not probably an easy moment, I guess. When did you know, like, all right, this is probably it?
First of all, I never had a backup plan.
Yeah.
Never.
I remember that.
I went to school to play baseball. People told me I had to have a backup plan. I was like, no, because if I have a backup plan, that means that I don't
burn the ships, right?
and of course, hindsight, yeah, I should have had a backup plan. but I never wanted to think of my life without baseball.
100%.
I would cry thinking about it. Even in high school, in college, in pro ball, the thought of not showing up to the baseball field with a uniform on ever again, it broke me. That thought, right? I didn't think I could do it. I never wanted to think about that. And then as I got going in my career, Michaela and I got married. I was married the last couple of years, and start thinking about life, right? Things, and I wasn't making a ton of money in the minor leagues, and I was a little bit older. There was a ton of young talent behind me. You know, I put together a pretty good minor league career.
For sure.
Something that I'm proud of. But it got to a point where, for me, in the situation, I didn't know if my final dream was realistic anymore.
Yeah.
And a lot of thought and prayer, and I came to the decision that it was time to be done. And there were some tears, of course, but I never regretted it. There's things that I missed about it, but it never broke me the way that I thought it would. You know, I had my circle, you being a part of that, Michaela, obviously. There were things at that point where my perspective changed and things just changed, and it was much easier than I thought.
Yeah.
But something that helped was I was able to get into coaching.
Yeah.
Also.
Yeah.
And still be a part of the game and loved it. And then when I'm coaching, I would have the thought of, I can never not coach, right? Like, I can never not show up to the baseball field and try to help somebody.
Yeah.
And I would have those thoughts. And then as time's going on, I wasn't making a ton of money. Right? It's hard. I was away from my family. We were trying to start a family.
Yeah.
Right? And that's a different story.
Yeah.
But your perspective changes again. And
100%.
I needed to do things to better my family. And so I had to step away from coaching. There were some tears.
For sure.
Again, I thought it was going to be impossible. But when you feel like something is the right decision and you're feeling it from not just yourself, right? It makes things a lot easier. And now I have an awesome family, 2 incredible kids. I have a job right now where I'm home every single night. I'm with my kids. I'm not at the baseball field until 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock at night. Sorry. You know, but for me,
that's good.
That's where I'm needed right now.
100%.
And, you know, we waited a long time to have a family. And so fortunately, I'll never have to have the thought of, what am I going to do after I'm a dad? You know, because that's always there in my life. I'll never not be a dad.
Absolutely.
And I'm not a coach anymore. I'm not a baseball player anymore.
You'll always be a baseball player. Brent,
I'm a baseball guy.
you're my favorite player ever.
Former player. But I'm fine with that. That's what I'm trying to get at, is things change in life and I'm where I need to be.
That's a great perspective. It's healthy, it's inspiring, and I think a lot of us have those thoughts, right, with coaching, because you are gone a lot from your family. You know, we talk about it here at Chihuahua. It is a sacrifice.
It's a sacrifice.
You know, but there comes a time when you have to ask yourself, is it worth it anymore? I love that about you, dude. You've always had that mindset. One thing about you is you've always put people first, whether your family, Michaela, your guys' story, like your love for people has always come first. And so like you just shared that perfectly. So it's super motivating to see that. And we need more people like you that do that, because there ain't enough good enough dads right now in our world.